Okay, guys, thanks for being on. This is our Monday night meetup, and we are actually continuing the series on how to talk to people about plexus. So if you remember a couple weeks ago, we first talked about why you even want to talk to people about plexus, because if you don't wake up each day kind of fired up about your business, then your why and your goal for your business are not big enough. And then last week we talked about the how. How do you actually talk to someone about plexus? Okay. And so tonight we are going to talk about the close, or how do you bring someone to the decision to try plexus. But the first thing I want everyone to know, hang on, let me check the waiting room so I can see it. It was hidden there. Okay. The first thing I want everyone to know and really understand is that we are not in the convincing business, okay? We are not looking to beg people to try plexus. We are not looking to convince someone that it's legit, that it's not a scam, that it's worth their time, that it's amazing, okay? You are actually looking for people who are ready to improve their health, who are desperate to change something to improve their quality of life or to make an income. Okay. So when it comes to your potential pool, right? We talk about the pool of people, the funnel. You do not want to spend any time on what we call the bad apples. Those are the ones that are the negative Nellies and the super skeptics who are never going to try plexus, are never going to focus on their health, are never going to think network marketing is not a scam, right? So when we talk about the close, we're talking about those people that are ready, okay? So just to kind of recap how we get to the close, you're sharing information with people. We're not convincing them. We're giving them enough information and we are directing them right to a decision. That decision is up to them, but we have to show value that is specific to them. Remember what we talked about last week. You have to be confident when you talk to somebody. You can't be wishy-washy. You have to control the conversation because people don't know what they should be asking. You always assume the sale by using positive language, and you want to keep it simple by only replying in a few sentences or giving them a few choices and really keeping it simple. Every conversation leading up to the close really revolves around those 5 steps we talked about. Explain what plexus is in 1 sentence, ask what their health goals are, what are they struggling with, and this is kind of the meat, because if you don't have this, your close that we're going to talk about and give some examples for here in a little bit, it's not going to work, right? The goal is not for you to show them how much knowledge you have about plexus. The goal is to ask them why they want to try it. And then so you can show them their transformation and what their life could be like once they try it. Okay. Then you recommend a product or 2, right? And then that's it. So we're not in the convincing business. Oftentimes when we talk about closing, people think we're convincing someone to try plexus. That is not what we do, okay? We're bringing them to the decision. We are asking them to make a decision. Oftentimes you guys are stuck because you're not even going for the ask, okay? And then it's up to them to decide, right? The decision is ultimately theirs, okay? So if you though are a recruiter, remember we talked about, and you don't have any business builders and you're having trouble closing, you're talking too much. You're kind of word vomiting on them and you're showing them that plexus is complicated and hard. And so when we talk about the close tonight, I'm going to show you some examples of how we simplify it and use those third-party tools. But remember, when we're talking about the close, it takes 6 to 7 touches with someone before you're ever going to get there, right? It's like when you see commercials on TV, if anyone even watches commercials now, I feel like that's such an old reference because like we don't have cable anymore. So the only commercial I see are the same 3 that Hulu plays over and over and over because I'm too cheap to upgrade to the commercial-free Hulu. But they do that because they don't expect you to like run right out and buy a Coke because you saw that one commercial. That's why they do multiple commercials and they play them all of the time, okay? And also remember with your close, they are not supposed to say yes the first time you ask them. Some people will. Those are like the green or the red apple or the green apples. They're like ready to go. That's awesome. But if you get into the mindset when you're talking about closing a deal that they're not going to say yes, you can detach from that and you're not going to get upset, or you're not going to kick into that convincing mode. Sometimes we just like really want someone to try it so bad that when they say no, we feel like we have to kick into convincing mode. Okay. So we don't want to do that. We want to have clarity on what we're asking for the close and to lead them to that decision. But we want to have this expectation that they are going to say no. And you'll say, I totally understand. I didn't know if you knew enough to make the decision. Okay. And then you can ask another question. Are you open to trying a sample? Do you have any micro commitment? That's what we talked about. This is a business. And I know some people muddy the waters because we are talking, especially when you first start sharing Plexus, to friends and family. So it kind of muddies the water where you're like, it's a business, right? But it's my friends and family, but it's not a sorority or a popularity contest. Okay. When somebody messages you about Plexus and you tell them how to come to that decision of whether or not they want to try it, you want to use these systems that we've talked about. You want to take the system that's already developed and add your personality to it. So those 5 steps we talked about and the examples I'm going to show you of a close and those third-party tools, you want to use those. I can't just put up here the perfect closing paragraph and all of a sudden everyone you talk to is going to order Plexus, right? These closes that we're going to talk about are only because you have done the work leading up to that, okay? But use the systems. The systems we have in place work, right? The 5 steps to talking about Plexus is how you get to the close. The third-party tools, sharing a video, sharing an info sheet. It would be like owning a McDonald's restaurant, right? You own your own McDonald's instead of Plexus. And you're going to say, you know what? I own my own McDonald's, but I'm not going to use McDonald's cups, right? We're going to use red Solo cups instead. Well, people be like, that's weird. Why are you using red Solo cups? That doesn't make sense. That's kind of what it's like when you don't use these resources or these third-party tools that Plexus lays out. You're making it harder on yourself. And then you really have to do extra work to get people to make the decision to try Plexus, right? So use these business processes that we have attached to it. And then get okay with doing this over and over and over, asking and asking and asking. So you want to ask yourself, are you being intentional with your close? Okay. Because if you are not recruiting, but you have all of these potentials, then you are spending too much time talking or messaging and not asking them to make a decision. Okay. You're not asking them what you want to ask them, which is, hey, are you going to order Plexus or not? It's $100 investment. It's not a mortgage. So don't make it complicated. Say, here's a video. Try this sample. Are you ready to order? Over and over and over. That's the process. Okay. But eventually you do have to stop following up and you have to close the deal, which means expecting a no and getting off the roller coaster of no. You're going to get a lot of no's. But as you have more people in your funnel, you're just going to keep going to the next person when you get a no, right? And then you're going to go back eventually to that person that said a no. I said no 9 times, okay? And I was actually kind of rude about it because my sponsor was a stranger. So she totally could have written me off, but she didn't because she followed the system of the business. She wasn't here thinking it was a sorority. She was like, okay, Amy, she said no. Putting her on my follow-up list for next month, right? Oh, she said no again, moving her to my follow-up list to next month, going on to the next person today. So if you are afraid when someone says no and you take it personally and then you stop following up, you're never going to get to that close because success in this business is really just a numbers game. We are caring for our customers. When I talk about numbers, I don't want anyone to ever think we drop out customer care. But the more people you contact and the more people you ask for them to make a decision to try Plexus, then the more people you're going to get. It's just, that's how it works, right? You cannot be successful if you're only talking to one person a week. It's not going to happen because it's a numbers game. Okay. So in your close, you are going to get objections. When you ask somebody, are you ready to try Plexus? Are you ready to order today? You are going to get objections. Objections do not mean they don't want to start it or try it, may not even mean they're skeptical or having cold feet. It's actually just a normal part of the conversation. It means they have either a normal skepticism or a lack of knowledge or fear of trying something new, and that's okay. It's expected. So when somebody brings up a question or an objection, I want you to be bold in handling it. And that comes from your confidence and your conviction. And remember, we talked last week on how that's a skill that you can grow, because people in your close will see your hesitation or your fear or you projecting that uncertainty. Or if you actually think it's expensive, you're going to project that onto them. And guess what? They're going to think it's expensive. I do not get pricing objections anymore. I just don't. And they may tell me they can't spend $100, but it's not an objection. They tell me what their budget is because I asked them, what's your budget then? Well, I can't do $100. Okay, can you do 30? Yes. All right, let's talk about ProBio 5 then. Get you started on just that. Okay. On the flip side, though, somebody who responds to those objections with confidence, and remember, you're just guiding them through to that decision, you're going to be more likely to have people join you and purchase from you. Okay. So objections are not the final no. You have to go through those objections to get to the close. It just means we haven't covered something with them yet. And the types of hesitations you're getting are actually you and not them, right? So you just have to keep asking more questions to uncover what are they hesitant about? Why are you hesitating? Have you changed your mind? Like sometimes we're so afraid someone's going to walk away that we're stuck in like follow-up land, and we're like, I don't know why this person keeps ghosting me, when we go back and look at the conversation. We haven't asked them, why are you hesitating? Did you change your mind? Do you not want to try Plexus anymore? Are you we have to ask these decisions, because listen, is your realtor friend afraid to ask you about what your budget is for a house? No. Is your photography friend afraid to go over how much their pictures are going to be? No. Are they afraid to come back to you and be like, hey, do you want that house or not? Hey, are you going to book that photography session or not? Nope. Okay. So be intentional with your closing. Again, if you're someone who has a lot of potentials, but you are not getting anyone to order, you just don't know how to close yet. And to learn the skill of closing, you have to, one, show up to these calls, which is great. You have to use those those three-way chats we talked about and learn from somebody more experienced how to close, right? That's how I learned how to close. I just put my sponsor in every message up to senior gold, every single person. In fact, I have some level ones, they aren't on the call, but some of my level ones that are still with me, if I message them and I'm like, hey, do you remember when I dumped you in a three-way chat with a stranger? They're like, yep, totally remember it. That's how I learned to close. Okay. So it's just a skill. It's just a skill. So let's look at some examples. I'm going to show you a slide with some examples, and you'll see in this conversation, it follows those 5 key points we talked about last week, right? Which is always assume the sale. You give them only 2 product options, right? Maybe 3. You don't send them a billion options. You don't explain all the things about gut health and triplex and ProBio 5. You don't go down those rabbit holes. You keep it simple. So let me show you. I've got 3 examples. And then if you guys have some specific questions on how to close, or if you have a message right now with a potential and you're like, I am stuck. I cannot move forward. What is going on? You can drop that in the chat and we can, all of us, kind of crowdsource on here together to help you answer those. Let's see, let me share my screen here. Okay, let me get this to where we can actually see it. Good old Canva. Okay, so I probably should have put these on separate slides now that I'm seeing it on the big screen. It made sense when I was dropping it. So we're going to look here at, apologies. We're going to look here at this message on the left-hand side. Okay, see where my arrow is? Let me move this bar down to the bottom. Okay, so on this left-hand side, the conversation has already started, or somebody reached out about reset, and this person sent them Brooke Hemingway's video about reset. If anybody doesn't know Brooke Hemingway, her and her husband are in the medical field. They are triple diamonds in Plexus. And so that's an excellent third-party tool. So not only is this message right here, by sending Brooke's video, it's showing that you don't have to know anything to do this business, right? Because the minute you start talking to a potential, you're modeling the business for them, whether they know it or you realize it, okay? 2, it's that third-party validation. Because as much influence as you may have with some person, you cannot have more influence than you can get when you add a third-party validator, okay? So on Sunday, the person said, that's great, thanks for sharing. How do I go about ordering it? That's it, super simple. The video did all the work for us. We didn't have to do all of the things. Now this one was a little simpler because it's a reset. They weren't asking, about migraines or IBS, right? But then when they said, how do I go about ordering? Boom. And I guess I'm calling Amy out because there's her website. This is Amy Morton's. So boom, Amy just said, great, here's my website. I recommend ordering as a VIP customer. She's not giving a billion options. Do you notice that? And then she is sending the instruction graphic right down here on how to order. Okay, here's the steps. That's it. Simple. That's the close right there. And then she follows up really quick and says, oh, by the way, for the slim flavor, because you get to choose, I recommend black cherry. Awesome, thanks, I'm excited about it. But the close is only the beginning, not the end of your work. Because then Amy follows back up and says, hey, I see your order. I've invited you to our customer support page, right? That's really when the work begins, okay? Here's another close. I want you to look at the follow-up too on the days. Because listen, you've got to remember, we're looking at this green one right here now. People are not thinking about Plexus 24 hours a day like we are. Okay, so if people go 2, 3, 4, 5 days without messaging you back, get out of your head when you're assuming that they don't want it or they're ignoring you. People get busy. Gosh, me this weekend, I literally had no time to be on my phone Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and my messages got buried. Had I been talking to somebody telling them I would order and they didn't follow up, I wouldn't have been able to do it. I even had to have Jamie bump a message back up today. My messenger was so buried, okay? So on this one, on Sunday, we send a message and say, saw you had some questions about Plexus. Can I send you more info? Nothing, no response. That was on Sunday. Tuesday, hey, saw this and wanted to share. I love how she explains the reset. Again, you know what that is? Brooke's video, okay? So the person replies, crazy weekend. We reply back, no big deal. Sounds good. I'll get in touch with you later. Okay, that was Tuesday. On Thursday, we're following back up. We're like, hey, want to let you know that as of today, all the orders come with, a free bag of hydrate. Okay, any sort of sale is a great reason to follow up. If there is not a sale, you can make up your own, right? Like you can be like, hey, guess what? Just found out we have a coupon code, SAM2020. Didn't want you to miss out, right? Like, so that's always a great way. So that was on Thursday. She didn't reply Thursday. She didn't reply Friday. On Saturday, she's like, okay, I think I want to order it. And then she asked a question. Some people would see this as an objection. Do you keep it stocked or does it have to be shipped? So what she's asking is, do I have my own inventory, right? And it's like, sometimes I've had people say, oh my gosh, Amy, they asked me how to order. What do I tell them? Or like, they asked me, do I have any? I'm like, no, like you tell them, no, you order from a website just like Amazon. That's it. That's the close. Okay. Here's another one. That's this one here. Now, I really like this one because this person literally was not a chatty Cathy. She was giving one-word responses, but it was still closable. In fact, Amy, this is another Amy Morton. She closed it. Okay. So on August the 12th, here's what a reset is. Notice she just said it's a 3-day fast. Average weight loss is 6 pounds. You want me to send you the info sheet? I got a video. You want to see that too? She didn't go into it's 8 products. You're going to have 2 soups. There's a snack bar. There's 4 drinks, blah, blah, right? Just 3-day fast. That's all you need to know. Okay. And then she said, yes. So, okay, boom, here's the info sheet. Boom, here's the video. Okay. And then nothing. She said she'll look over it. She puts her kids to bed, right? Nothing. She even said, do you want me to send pricing? Nothing. So then a couple days later, hey, want to check back in? Did you have a chance to look at what I sent you? Right? You've always got to follow up on that last step. All of these are micro commitments. If you look at these messages, there's always something for this person to respond to. Either watch a video, answer a question, look at this info sheet. If you're not giving them anything to respond to and you're wondering why they're not getting back to you, that's why. There's got to be an action for them, okay? So then the person messaged back and said, pricing, please. And this is where I see a lot of people fumble the close. They like fumble, they're like on the 1-yard line and they fumble because they freak out over the price and they don't know what to tell somebody when they're like, okay, how much is it? Because, and if that's you, deep down, you think this is expensive. You've got to realize it is not, okay? You see everyone walking around with a cell phone. There is no way people have a cell phone nowadays that's less than $100 a month, right? So we're not asking them to buy a house. We're not asking to buy a car. We're asking them to buy a $109 welcome pack. And if you are getting objections again, or you're fumbling the close at this point in the conversation on the 1-yard line, then you have not built the value for them or the value for yourself. Okay. So when they ask, okay, how much does it cost? Well, listen, there's 3 options. One-time purchase retail, it's like $150. Join as a VIP ambassador, right? Or order as a brand ambassador. Like, oh, sorry, this is an older one. Which one do you want to do? Which one sounds good? So you're giving them the 3 options, but you're letting them know which one you recommend, right? I recommend VIP. I'm putting that in there. Notice when I explain retail, I don't say anything. I'm just like retail for $150 plus shipping and tax, boom, right? Then which one sounds good to you? You always have to end in the close with something to follow up. Okay. Well, the person never got back to me. Okay. So 2 days later, we're following up again. Hey, I just saw that we're having a little special this weekend. Do you want me to send you some info about the products that you can follow up the reset with? Yes, please. How do I join? How do I order? And then simple, go to my website and follow these steps. So that's it. You want to keep it in all of these little micro commitments. You guys know what I mean when I say the conversation flow, right? Is like, why do you even want to try Plexus? Back and forth over health goals and just listening to the person until you make a product recommendation. Then once you've made that product recommendation, you move into that close. But again, it's still the same back and forth little micro commitments. Did you watch the video? Are you ready to order, right? Which price sounds good to you? You want to pay for $150 or $129 or yeah, like which one sounds good to you, right? A lot of people skip this step. A lot of people freak out when somebody asks price. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't know. Give them the options. You know way more about Plexus than they do. You are their consultant. Consult with them. Tell them if they want a reset combo, they need to be a VIP customer. That is their best option. If they're only looking at a bag of Slim, tell them they need to order as retail. It does not make sense for them to be a VIP customer. The decision is still up to them, but you are their consultant. Let me see, do you guys have any questions about how to close? Or is there anything where you're like, man, I'm not closing, or I'm stuck, or help me with something? Yeah, so Stephanie mentioned you liked how you explained the perk report or the perk credits on that one. That's a big one. That's a big one. But you also make sure that you tell people that it's if you want the combo, right? Like, you don't get perks if you're only ordering a bag of Slim. So you're not going to get any of that stuff.
So one thing that did
yeah,
help
go
me,
ahead.
I'm just going to jump in and then I
Go
have
ahead.
to go. But I was on this Zoom like 3 or 4 years ago with some teacher. I was on Team Taylor. Some teacher was teaching us, much like this. Amy is the teacher. And she said, you have to ask permission to send information. And that struck me and has helped me ever since. Like, I have the info sheet. Would you like me to send it to you? Question mark. Asking permission to send information, because then they're like, yes, please, pricing, please, or like, I don't know, for some reason it's worked out really well. So ending with a question mark and asking permission before you send information, and that helps me stay controlled without just firing tons of information, because I don't have permission yet. So I go step by step with permission.
Yeah, and that's that micro commitment that we talk about, right? So that's all the conversation is leading up to the close, and even the close are all of these little micro commitments, right? I have a video, can I send it to you? I have pricing, can I send it to you? Right? Or I have a product recommendation, do you want to hear it? And those are good too if you're getting people to not respond. But I really want you guys to notice in these conversations the time that passed, right? Because you can look at conversations with people one of two ways. You can look at it like Amy did on hers and be like, oh, it's been like 3 days, she hasn't followed up, I'm going to reach back out to her and touch base. Or what some people do, you can look at that and be like, oh my gosh, it's been 3 days, they totally don't want to do Plexus, they think I'm crazy, like they're ghosting me, I'm afraid to follow back up, like I don't want to bug them, I don't want to seem pushy. Listen guys, you are not pushy. People are busy. People are busy. You have got to follow up with them between 6 and 12 times if you want to get to the close. So a lot of people are like, I can't close, but it's because you're trying to get to the close before you've done all of those other steps with them, right? Third-party validation, building value, recommending a product, talking about price. Some of us don't even talk about price because we're afraid to, or we're afraid to direct the conversation there, or someone could be like, oh, it's too expensive. And we're like, oh, okay, I know it's pricey. When somebody to me says, oh man, that's too expensive, I'm like, hey, tell me what your budget is. What's your budget? What are you looking to spend on your health right now? Because I get it. I didn't have gut health as a line item when I started Plexus either. Can you do $30 a month? Right? And they're like, yes. I'm like, okay, we're going to get you started on ProBio 5. But what I want you to do, if it works for you, if you think this is a good idea, I want you to share your referral link with some friends to help you get money to pay for your welcome pack in 90 days. Or if they're like, no, I'm not doing that, say, okay, well then do you think you can save some money in your budget? Maybe like, any wiggle room in your budget where you can save a little bit each month. And then in 90 days, you will have enough money for that welcome pack we talked about that you so desperately need for your IBS, right? So don't be afraid to have those conversations and really treat it like a business. I will tell you, when you do that, people are even going to respond to you more, especially if it's somebody who is a little not sure, but when they're like, oh man, like she's responding like a business owner. Oh, this is legit. Like, okay, this Plexus stuff is legit. You're going to get a higher response rate too. Okay, guys, any more questions? Oh, there's the chat. Yes, I love that, Nicole. They expect a follow-up. We are a business. It's so true. And I can't tell you how many times I have told somebody, oh my goodness, yes, I want to buy those cookies from your kid. Yes, I do. But then I get busy, right? Especially women, guys, we have like what, 5,000 internet tabs open in our brain at any given moment. I forget. Or yes, I'm going to buy your mascara because I actually really want it. Your mascara is my favorite. I'm going to order it. And then I forget. I've done that so many times. And those people who don't follow up with me, I appreciate it because I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, I said I was going to do that. Or, oh my gosh, yes, I really want to try it. But we get busy and we forget. And just like Nicole said, when they don't follow up with me, they don't get my business either. And sometimes they don't get my business because maybe I really wasn't seeking it out, but I thought I would try it. But when they don't follow up, I'm like, oh, well, they're not really into this. Like, it's not
Yeah.
important to them. It's not important to me.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, not only they don't get my business because I forgot and they didn't follow up, because like you said, there's so many times you're invited to like a party for something and you're like, yeah, I'm going to buy those books or whatever. And then you just forget and it goes by and I'm like, oh my God, that was a week ago. She never followed up. Oh my gosh. Oh, well. Well, then the other thing is that I don't think they're, well, number one, I wondered, well, do they even care about my business? Like, I feel like I'm not a valued potential or customer because they didn't follow up with me. Then number two is that like, I just wonder if they're serious. And if they're not serious about what they're selling and what their business is or whatever, how long are they going to be doing this? And then are they going to leave? You know, people want to buy from people that they've seen continuously do this and keep sharing and stick with it. Like, I don't want to buy from someone necessarily. I mean, maybe I will, but I don't want to necessarily buy from someone that's super new over someone that's super experienced, that I know that like they're confident and they're good about like following up with their business and they treat it like a business, because I know they're in it for the long haul. Like, that's what I want in a sponsor or whatever, you know, even if I'm just being a customer.
Yeah, totally. And it's almost like too, when you walk into a store. Now I know there are some times when you walk into a store, because I do it, and you know exactly what you want and you're just like, leave me alone, salesperson, right? But most of the time when I walk into a store, especially a store I'm not familiar with. So I'll give you an example. Like, we have a saltwater fish tank. I don't know anything about it. I usually don't do anything with it, but sometimes I have to go to the store. I walk in there and I look like a deer in the headlights. That's what people look like when they come to us. People usually don't know anything about gut health. They don't know anything about what these products can do. They are completely overwhelmed by all of the options because they went to our website or they Googled us or something, right? So when I go into that store and I don't have somebody approach me within a few minutes of like, how can I help you? You look like you need my help. I'm out. I'm going somewhere else. It's the same here, right? If we're not following up with that person, then they're out, just like what Nicole said. So it's a great reminder. You are never bothering somebody when you follow up. You're running your business. You're running your dang business. And if somebody though comes back and is like, listen, because you'll have these people, I've had them, and they're like, listen, don't talk to me about Plexus anymore. Like, I'm not going to do it. Say, okay, I'm glad you told me. I pride myself on following up with people who were interested like you were, but I appreciate you letting me know. I'm going to take you off of my follow-up list, right? Or if somebody comes back and was like, just no, like, you know, flat no after several times, you kind of get a vibe. I'll ask them, I'm like, okay, totally understand. Now's not a good time. Do you want me to take you off of my follow-up list forever? Or would you like me to follow up with you in September? Right? So you also can do that. And when you have that in your back pocket, then it makes the follow-up, you know, not as scary. Because I think a lot of times we're afraid to follow up with that person the 6th, 7th, and 8th time because you think it's a waste. but it's not. Remember what we said, 90% of sales happen after that 6th, 7th, 8th touch. So if you're not following up, then you aren't going to get people to jump on board. Okay. All right, guys. Oh, more chat. Yes. Yep. Love that. Love that, Nicole. All right. Thank you guys for being on. We were only a few minutes over. We do have some exciting events happening this week, so make sure you check out the team calendar. Tomorrow during the day, Amy Morton hosts kind of our working session. We've got an event on Thursday night. And then I think we're going to be running some specials here the last few days of the month. All right. Bye, guys.